So Ligia is now doing her PhD in BAM. So Morteza is doing his PhD in FIMECA in Clermont-Ferrand. Amol finished his PhD, still didn't do his defense. So Amol now works as a senior engineer in DMV GL. Joey also finished his PhD in COI, and is now working in Rambol as an offshore structural engineer. Gianluca finished his PhD in GUD and is now working as a geotechnical engineer in COI. Maria finished her PhD in Infrastar in Paris. Bartek is still doing his PhD in EPFL, and I really don't know why I'm the moderator here. Maybe he's the most suited to be the moderator. So he's the younger version of Eugène, maybe. And Iman, she's still doing her PhD in EPFL, and Jim is still doing his PhD in BAM in Berlin. Okay, so before we start our discussion, I just chose a picture from our first meeting 3 years ago in Berlin. So it was the first day, maybe we were all together. So we had a lot of interesting discussions, and now it's the last meeting. So yeah, it's we all remember this day, and you also remember it because our supervisors taught us that we are still students. There was a table for supervisors and a table for students. Yeah. Okay, so I chose to divide the roundtable to many topics. So I'll start by the first topic, and it is about the added values of being part of a European project. So my first question is, what are the added values of being awarded a PhD part of a European project in terms of career development? So maybe I'll start by asking Gianluca, maybe.
I would say the funding. So we had the possibility to travel, meet people, build my network, present my work around the world almost. And I heard that others PhD in other university, maybe they didn't have that opportunity. So for my research was very important to make networks. And the secondments, we had the possibility to do 2 months in different industrial partners. That also was a very important step in my career because yes, I did my secondment in COVID, so I make a network, and it was nice to meet people.
And you finally a job in COVID.
Yes, so yes, that I found very important for me.
Okay. So maybe we'll take the opinion of another ESR. Who wants to?
I think on top of having the resources, what I appreciate most is having a time, like being a full-time PhD student. A lot of PhD students, especially if they're hired from the university, they have to do part-time teaching. So if I think in the European ITN, we are officially not allowed to do that. So I think because of that, we have more time to focus on our work. So even for me, even if I'm sitting at an industrial partner, I was not doing any work for other industrial projects. So for me, it meant a lot.
Okay. So now.
Just one more added value. I would say that it's like there was one requirement that we have to collaborate with others. And I like that most because I was the most collaborative. Yes, and I would say I was collaborating almost with 8 out of 12. And what advantage I could see, that I could get easily the knowledge from these guys, what they learned. And second thing is like, in this research environment, what happens is like you keep on doing something, and then there's nobody like who can get into every details what you have done. But if you have a co-author like or co-worker, he can get into nitty-gritty of everything what you have done, and then at least one more person certifies that what you have done is correct. Because even any reviewer or anybody, they don't get into every details of what you have done. But if you're like producing something jointly, then at least there are two people, they know that okay, this is correct at least. So that's added advantage I could see with other PhDs compared to that. Yeah.
Okay. So we knew now the added values, but what about challenges? So what do you think, maybe Morteza, are the most challenging aspects of Infrastar?
Why me? But the challenge, in my opinion, is that, okay, besides that we have a lot of opportunities in this kind of projects, like finishing the PhD in 3 years and in the same time doing secondments with different research centers, for example, 3 months here and 3 months there. It kills a lot of, like it shouldn't like kill your time, but in fact when you are going to another place to get adapted to the new place and start a new thing, in my opinion it needs some, not 5 years, but a little bit more than 3. I mean more than 3 years, because you already, including the conferences and training weeks, 10 months out of these 3 years you're out of your research center. So I think this is a big challenge in this kind of projects.
Okay. Maybe also learning about what other ESRs are working on in order to collaborate, and especially when you have work packages that are focused on something different. So, okay. So maybe I want one of ESRs to say something. Yeah.
So I think that the biggest challenge was to follow the same objectives which were given before the beginning of the project, because there are so many aspects that we want to cover during our PhD. So it's kind of difficult to just keep doing something during these 3 years, because we want to cover many different topics. So the main challenge was just to make this straight line and go and follow it until the end.
Okay, so this is also could be a challenge for also a normal PhD student when he starts his PhD work. So do you think your being in Infrastar also helped you made it harder, or helped you to find a way to?
I think finally it helped me, because it was defined in the beginning. So and also I had a lot of help from others here. And in the normal, as you say, PhD, if we want to change something, we change it and then we follow a new line in the end. But here we needed to keep follow something what was defined in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, to sum up these 2 points, these 2 questions, I think that it's important to understand that these biggest challenges are in the same time the assets. So it's very important to cope with these challenges and to learn and to really use the chance that the IT project is giving.
There's a lot of opportunities. You need to be active and to work a lot to profit from this. Okay, so I think this is enough for this theme. So here I want to talk more maybe about secondments. So secondments is something really just for ITM projects, and here I want to ask Shin, maybe, what are the aspects that need to be improved?
Okay, personally, actually, I went to Nantes for 3 months during the first year.
No.
Sorry?
Everything went well in Nantes, no?
Yes. And it was the first year, and it was the beginning of my thesis. And I spent 3 months in Nantes, and we planned to do some experiment. I mean, me and Antoine together. and he used his fiber and I used my ultrasonic sensors. And as I said, it's the very beginning of my thesis, so I was a little bit confused about the measurement devices and everything. And I brought some new product from our department in BAM, and it didn't work really well. So I have to return to Nantes again a few months later, but it was not my secondment. It's just a business trip to redo the measurement. So which means during the first 3 months, we gained a lot of experience. I will not say we waste time, but we have a lot of experience. And also, me and Antoine, basically we do measurement, we do experiment. So sometimes shit happens. Like we built 5 beams together and installed with my sensors and my ultrasonic sensors and his fiber. And some of the fibers were broken, and it's really annoying. You prepare it for a long time, you do a lot of work and you do the casting, and in the end you found that one or some of the fibers were broken. But he seems to be very happy. I don't know why. But I mean,
and your devices didn't work also.
Yes, that's our first test together. And then we got a lot of experience, and I went back to Nantes again, and we successfully did experiment together and published a journal paper, and the result was really good. Actually, what's your question? Sorry.
So what are the aspects that...
Yes. So I think maybe...
Is doing secondments in the first year of your PhD is a good idea or not?
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Maybe it's better to do it later, because for me it's very early, my first secondment. And for my later second, I'm quite lucky because I did all my secondment in the correct place, which helped me to do some measurement. Like the one in Nantes, we did test in the lab, and then I went to Neostrain in Poland. We measured something on the real bridge, which is really good, because in the end we need to implement our method and everything on the real structure. And then I go to BAST, the Federal Highway Institute, a Federal Institute of Highway in Germany, and we installed our sensor in a existing bridge. And all these secondments for me it's a good experience and a good opportunity to see what my method can do. So this is pretty good. And I did the other 2 secondment in the second year and the third year, which is, for me, I think it's the best time to do the secondment instead of the very beginning of our thesis.
So you had more time to prepare and...
Yes, and at that time I understand better what I'm doing and what I'm going to do.
Okay. Maybe Bartek wants to say something.
I agree that timing of the secondments is very important, but then some kind of secondments can be very useful in the first year. Like I did my first secondment in Aalborg, where I could really learn more about the probabilistic approach. So it's the tool that later I could use. So it's rather depending on what you want to do during the secondment, you should plan it for the proper time.
Okay.
Just as Shin said, sometimes you need to do the secondment in the correct place. So when you go somewhere and it does not have anything to do with what you are doing, and it's already defined in the beginning, you cannot change it, even if you want, this is not good. It's like...
Yeah, some of us...
No, but some of us, I had this problem for my last secondment, because it was like changing the place and getting used to a new place, but not having anything good for me or for my PhD. So it was just having hard time. And but still I have 2 other secondments, one in my first year and the other one in second year, and they were in the correct place. So I end up for example, writing 2 articles with the other ESRs. So sometimes it's good to collaborate, because we can use Skype, but it's even more better when you are in the same place, so you can discuss the ideas, you can find the problems, the mistakes, and try to write after when you are not anymore in the place. So when you are in the same...
How do you rate your segments over 10?
The two first ones. No, I don't want to speak about my last one. Sorry. Next question.
So who changed his segment, the place of his segment? So maybe Morteza can give
I did
us
also for my second one. Yeah.
So was it a good choice? And maybe you can tell us a bit more about what did you achieve there?
In my opinion, it's good when we enter this kind of projects for example, when we entered, all the things were planned. For example, I had 2 secondments, one in BAM and one in EPFL. Maybe, for example, after starting my project, maybe I would like to join another research lab to do something that is more related to my topic. So it's better to be more flexible in that topic for secondment. So I can work a little bit, go to the literature to study, to learn what I'm going to know, what I'm going to do. Then I decide about my secondments. Where should I go? And also I can, after a time, I can know the ESRs more, and I can know that which one is the work of which one is more related, that we can collaborate more. So it's better in that sense that we kind of having the flexibility to change. I had the chance to change my secondment, and it was very good. I liked it. I mean, I think it was more, it gave me more advantage than the one that was planned. And I think some of the ESRs, they didn't know that they can change it, for example, and they went with the plan.
So you have to give a good reason to change the place.
Yeah.
And in my case, I changed both of my segments. And at the end, for me, having your segment during the first year, maybe you will be able to prepare for something, but you cannot really finish your work in 3 months after 1 year of your PhD. But when I went to EPFL as an example, end of second year, I was able to prepare before. We were even able to buy the right instrument and to plan a lot of tests. So of course, doing segments depends on what you want to achieve and what you want to learn. Okay, so I want an ESR to talk about his personal experience of working with another ESR. So maybe Joey can tell us a bit on his collaboration with Gianluca.
So throughout my PhD, I collaborated with 2 ESRs. It's basically the guy on my left and on my right. So it's like ESR 7, 8, and 9, because the topics are closely related.
So the same work package?
No, but work package 2 and 3. So we're the guys working on wind turbines. So I'm more on I was focusing on structural analysis, and Gianluca, I worked with Gianluca because he has expertise on the geotechnical modeling part. So for me, it was really a good fit, because instead of spending a lot of time trying to figure out what Gianluca probably already know, it was easier to just collaborate. And with Amol, it was more with the probabilistic modeling and reliability analysis. Amol has 10 years of experience in the industry, so he knows a lot of things which a younger person doesn't know, can benefit from a lot. And it was good not only on a professional level, but also on a personal level, because you get to know the person, and also cultural wise, what are the differences when trying to work with someone who has a different cultural background.
Okay, so here I want to ask maybe a question for the supervisors, for maybe one of the supervisors, maybe Eugène. So Eugène, how do you think having ESRs had a benefit for your PhD students or for your lab. So having some of the ESRs, I think there's a lot of ESRs who went to EPFL, Amol, Joey, Morteza, me, Maria. So
it has also been interesting for me and very useful also to discuss these big different aspects. And they have all been very interested in knowing both the ways we are working in Aalborg, because we are in a way at the university working in a little bit different way compared to other places, because we use problem-based learning as a basic principle for our education, and that in fact fit very well with what the ESRs they are doing. So I would say in many ways it has been interesting and also very useful.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So maybe I will have the opinion of Eugène also.
So that was a very interesting experience. First of all, having new heads in my team. So it's kind of freshening up the daily life. And Lausanne seemed to be, or was actually a very popular place. And I think there was a period, I can't remember exactly when, we were almost half of the whole Infrastar program in Lausanne. I think there were once 3 secondments plus the 2 of my team makes 5, maybe 6. Can you confirm, Bartek and Iman? I don't know. But it was this aspect. Sometimes the problems were of a logistic nature to find room, simply. Was not always easy, as far as I know. And
so in terms of knowledge, do you think the ESRs that
yes,
went
that
to
was
Lausanne?
very interesting. Of course, the scientific exchange was very interesting and fruitful. We just can have a look at the papers that were produced in the end and are still being produced. Yes, that's positive, really.
Okay, so I don't see Ernst. So maybe we will try to have the opinion of all the work package leaders.
So we haven't been that successful. I think we had the maximum of 5 ESRs at one time, not 6 or 7. So yeah, in effect, so for me it seemed to be very fruitful, and the main trigger for this cooperation were the shared objects. We had one of that, and that seemed, at least in a certain phase of the project, very attractive for other ESRs, at least to have a visit there and then to learn from the experiences we had there. So probably these secondments are good if there's really something to do, not just a visit and without a proper schedule and work plan and other kind of things. But if there is really something to do, it's very good. So yeah, we will be work package leaders or advisors will sit on the podium again later on and will make a SWOT analysis of these ITN projects. But I have to admit, in some phases also from the viewpoint of an advisor, we thought in totally the duration of the secondments might be a bit too long. So because if you have just 3 years to make a PhD and the PhD student is absent for 6 months plus, it's a challenge at least.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is one of, so I wrote it here. Maybe doing secondment during the first year is not a good idea, but also maybe doing secondment during the second or third year. And one of the examples is in my case. So we did, I did my secondment during end of second year. So the time we did the test during secondments, but you need also time to process the data, to write articles. So I finished my PhD and we're still writing articles until now and processing data. So doing secondments during second or third year is good, but maybe having a PhD of 4 years is also good. So yeah.
I can answer also afterwards, eh? So I can tell you some things.
Okay. So so here maybe we can move to the the third one. So training weeks, implementation days, and spring school. So here my question: what are the activities that you enjoyed the most during training weeks, except for the beer? So maybe my question is for Lija. I felt you're alone there, so I thought, okay.
We had
You can choose training weeks, implementation days, or the spring school. What do you want to talk about?
I think I like training weeks most. I think we as a PhD, I think I am industry PhD because I'm not in a university, so I cannot get a class. So I think it's fundamental that when you start learn something, you should take class and courses. And if you learn only by yourself, that's very difficult and takes a lot of time. So then you need to find proper training. And then the training weeks that Infrastar afford us is a very good way to give you all the knowledges that you needed. And so I benefit a lot from these training weeks, and I also get credits from it. So that is also a problem. Part of our ESRs are needed credits for graduation. So that is a requirement, especially for students in Denmark. So they need 30 credits. So we are struggling to fulfill these requirements. And luckily, the training weeks that Infrastar provide can give us these credits. So this is quite useful. So from my point of view, I like it most.
Yeah. So even though so in some European countries there's a doctoral school where you need to have credits, and like in Switzerland or in Denmark. As an example, in France, we need to fulfill some hours, but you never find an interesting lecture for that give you something for your PhD. So this is hard to find the training schools, and it's a very good idea to have training schools in this type of projects. Okay. So I need someone to talk about the experience of spring school. So would you, yeah, so who wants to talk about spring school? Is it a good, okay, I'll choose Bartek maybe. It's a hard question, so I'll give it to Bartek.
For us, the spring school, it was a mixture of two experiences, because on one way we were participating in a school as a students, so we could listen to some lectures. But on the other hand, we had to prepare also some activities to the other students that are connected with what we do. So it was a good way of tasting both sides of the table, let's say. So from this point of view, it was quite an interesting experience.
Yeah, and for me also it was pretty good experience, because I didn't, in some, like in Infrastar, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to give lectures. So trying this experience helps you to know if you want to keep working in academia or in industry. So okay, so Bartek, would you participate in the training school if you're invited in the next one? When you get your PhD.
Next training school will be still before,
Yeah.
So then your question is no more valid. Thank you.
Okay, so I will ask the question for someone who got his PhD. Okay, Joey.
When is the spring school?
March? April? Okay. In April. So you still remember what you did?
Yeah.
So
I
if
will
you wanted to give a lecture during the training school,
yeah, if I'm available and if the topic fits, if I can contribute something to the spring school, then maybe I can consider.
Okay. So there's still implementation days. So what about implementation days? Was it too short to have one day during the implementation day, or?
I mean, one thing I like the idea of implementation day, that you show what is your contribution to the industry. But other thing is like it was planned work package wise. Like, first year work package 1 presents and they may not have everything with their hand, and then the second year, third year, like other work packages are presenting, and then you have something interesting to show, but you cannot. But I like another aspect of implementation there, that like we had a separate meeting later, and then we have been grilled to ask, like we have been asked a single question, that what is your scientific contribution, So that part of this implementation days I really like, because then you really keen to show what you have done and what's your contribution out of all these broad research or whatever. So that's what I liked in this implementation day, after part of implementation day.
Okay. So you think having implementation days during the first year is it good, or it's better to
maybe we can make it a little bit flexible. If it is like no results are available to present, only to meet the deadline or date, we can still postpone. Maybe like we can do it in second and third year possibly.
Okay. And Gianluca, what about doing having implementation days with other European projects at the same time? Would you think it's a good idea or not? So we were 12. We had to do posters, but maybe having more students that participate, or during the event would gather more people that are. Did you see in each? Did you find in each implementation day people that were very interested by what you did, or was it lacking people that have experience in your domain and they were asking you the good question?
I think that you have to target the people in each implementation day. Maybe that make more sense. But if you are joining more projects in one day, I think it's a bit overwhelming. So it's sometimes it's nice if you focus on something, you get the most out of it. If you're kind of inviting everyone, then maybe you lose the focus and
Okay. Okay. So here I want to get the opinion of Akim. Was it easy to find people that wants to participate in implementation days, come for 1 week, for one day, and?
I would say yes, because this is not their priorities. They have a lot of things to do besides conferences, meetings. So yeah, it was challenging. It was challenging to invite a lot of people. But you all know about this issue. And what has been said this morning, and I keep it in mind, it was from, I forgot his name, from APR. It's that you have to focus on specific people and make some phone calls, email them and invite them personally. And yeah, you have to insist to get them in the game.
Okay. So now I'll move to the next topic. Okay, so development of soft skills. So here I want to ask maybe Maria. So PhD students in a project should work together and exchange data. So this is about collaboration. But since they are all starting at the same time, was it good? Was it easy to start collaborating since? So was it too late at the end of third year to start some collaborations or to be efficient and get efficient results?
We didn't start at the same time. Or you mean that all approximately the same time, but not first work in package 1, then work in package 2?
Here you don't know well your PhD topic, you're not able to easily start a collaboration. But then at third year, you know your topic, but you don't have time to start maybe a collaboration. Do you think was this a problem? And how we can maybe solve it, or if it is?
Well, in my personal experience, it was not a problem to collaborate. But I know that probably it depends on the project. So our project was structured that, like, first we have one working package that could provide data for the second, which could provide data for the third. But if there are other projects which are not step-by-step related, which are like just covering several different areas, which could start at the same time and collaborate, so for them it will not be a problem. But in our case, in Infrastar, maybe it would be better if it was like a working package 1 starts a little bit earlier, and then second, and then third. But of course, at the level of timing, it's not maybe possible to fit it in 4 years. Yeah. So then it's already the question of like if we need really to share objects or like to share methodologies. So I know in our case, like everybody in the end found a way to collaborate with each other. So I think that it was good in the end.
And in my opinion, also so we all had, we were not sure if we will find a way to collaborate because our topics were a bit far from each other. But at the end, we see that it's good to have topics that are different. So we can collaborate in another way. Because two topics that are pretty similar, it's hard also sometimes. It will be competitive more than they will try to be competitive more than they will try to collaborate. So it's a good idea to have a bit different topics and different work packages. Okay, so we talked about maybe data. So maybe Amol can reply to this question. So you're the person who needed data all the time. So what can you say about data and shared objects?
I would say actually all these secondments helped me in getting the required data, because my first secondment was at EPFL, and then I could work with Iman and a little bit with Bartek. So I could get the data for the bridge, and then like I had the exactly, I can sit with them. I sat with them, and then I understood the data, and then we developed some methodology. So there are some scientific outcomes out of it, and then I could use the data for probabilistic study. Further, I needed some data for wind turbines, so I worked with Joey to get that data. So all these secondments really helped in understanding each other, and then it's not only getting the data, because then you need to really spend much more time in understanding that data. So if you have a secondment with the guy who is producing that data and who knows much more about it, then it's very easy to understand and how to use that data. And then I had some more data from you, like this work package 1. Initially we made some attempt to collaborate, but it failed, and then it didn't happen for almost 1.5 years. And then it triggered again in last year that we could do something. We were initially trying to develop something out of it, but it didn't happen. And then as we progressed, we know much more about our work, and then we could finally collaborate. And it was, I think, well outcome out of it.
So every collaboration with me is a bad story first, but at the end it becomes a good story. Good. Okay. So so maybe I want to ask Shin, because Shin, who's the guy at first who should provide the data. So do you think you were able to provide data for other ESRs, or so they expected? You think they expected too much from you, or you were able at the end to give data? So
actually, it really depends on who asked me for the data. I mean, no, it doesn't. No, actually, what I mean is it really depends on the experiment. For example, when Antoine asked me for the data, of course we can work together because we are working on the same thing. We just use different method to detect the same thing. So it's quite easy. I mean, it's about the facility. It's very easy that we work together and share data and find the same result. And when but when Amol asked me for the data, Amol, he did his secondment in BAM, and we discussed for a long time. Actually, at the beginning, it was me, Antoine, and Amol. We discussed together, but it's really hard for us to work together because of the data, not because of the person, of course. He can't, or my data can't really give him some useful information because the test I don't have enough data to provide him. Actually, according to my own experience, all the cooperation with the other ESR, it went pretty well. The only difficulty is that when we do a measurement, we need not only the ESRs but also some colleagues from the other department or from the other institution. Like, for example, our test in BAM, we use different method, and we need the help from the fiber optic group in BAM because Antoine, he can't really bring his devices to BAM. It's quite expensive, and yeah, it is expensive. So we asked for the help. Yes, and also we did digital image correlation, and some colleagues from another department in BAM helped us. So me and Antoine, we shared the data immediately. Yeah, but we need to wait for the data and something from the other department, and this takes much longer time than our private data. So this is the most difficult thing.
And so my collaboration with Chen started first year and ended third year. So it lasted around 2 years, and we had the chance. He came 3 months to Infrastar. I went 3 months to BAM. So we had the chance to spend more time together to discuss and see what we can do together and how we can produce knowledge.
Yes, I mean the cooperation between me and the ESRs, it went pretty well. There's no problem, but we need the help of the. Oh, I think Lija, she doesn't agree with me. I don't know.
Let's give the...
No, I just remember I hear some complaint. Yeah, it went out in the end, but during the process, it's not always smooth like what you expected. Everyone is different, so you come from different background, you work in different ways, so there's something you need to fix, but we are grown up. Yeah, in the end it works. Yeah.
It was interesting because everyone comes from a different country also, so we have different ways of working also. We have different cultures. So for me it was pretty interesting to work with Amol and Bartek and Chin. So you learn how to collaborate with someone who has a different background, different culture also. With Bartek was pretty special. It's very hard to work with them. That's right. Okay. Okay. So now I will move to what for the future, except writing a paper together. So, what are the impacts of your project in your personal and professional development? So I will ask it for Iman.
So for the future, first, I need to finish my PhD because I have still have 1 year more. But let's tell what are the benefits of Infrastar for my career. First, we have this international experience. So it's something that you will not find in for other PhD students. Like we are collaborating, we are more than 10 nationalities altogether, I think 11 or 12. And we learn how to collaborate with each other, how to learn the culture of the others. Each one is different, but with all our differences, we end up having articles and we have a lot of friends. So it's something. And also with the implementation days, we had this possibility to go and see industry. So we are not just in our office doing theory and without knowing what is happening in practice. So we meet people from industry who are telling us, this is what we want to have. Your results, they are interesting for us, so you can implement them maybe in real structures or whatever. And having this in the first year, second and third, each time, sometimes it is changing also how we manage our research after. So we end up by having networking in academia and also in industry. So this is two good points for our career.
Okay, so maybe Gianluca. So Gianluca found the job, and how do you think being in a European project like Infrastar helped you really? In which way to write your CV maybe, and in your search for work, or was it easy to find the people that can be possible?
Yeah, it's of course prestigious to have in the CV. That's also one important thing. And the other thing, as I said, is you have the possibility to build your network. That's what's the most important thing. Okay. And to build contacts, and because I think nowadays is very important.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something maybe we missed in the previous topic. So maybe Maria, did you enjoy communication activities? So did you enjoy writing blogs? What do you think about blog?
Yeah, I like it, but it's my personality. I just like writing and speaking.
So did you like it first, or with time you liked it more, or so?
Oh, it stays the same. It's all my life I like it, so no.
Okay, so
it's not me whom you should ask this. Yes, for me, yes, but yeah. And so it's the way for us to give some unofficial information, like some challenges which are not related to the work, but to the project itself or to our experiences during the PhD. So it's a good way, and also to share with friends, because some friends of mine, they saw my blog, but they would never see my posters or presentations because they don't care. So yeah. But you should ask someone else who don't
Morteza,
like us.
The guy who was always late to write his blog. You can confirm it, Hakim?
You can ask Hakim. I'm one of the most ESRs that is ahead of others. We saw in the results that I got the star in the end. Yes.
Okay, how many views?
I don't count the views like you.
I think between the 30,000 views, like there's 15 for Ligia, maybe.
But Chinese, they look each other's blogs, and there are two.
We don't use Google, so my
friends
can't really see.
Yeah, but what I found it also interesting, because during my 3 years, I wasn't in contact with someone from USA until the end of my 3rd year, and in between the viewers of my blog, the most country was USA. So it's something that you think that blogs maybe are helping other people. It's not people that you know that you told them I have a blog, can come and read it. There's people who are really benefiting from.
Yes, but what I'm going to say is not about the blog. It's about the other question about personal career and future.
Okay.
Like the environment that we are working is not like we are ESRs that working in a European project. We see each other. We see like people from the partners. Also, I work in FIMECA, which is another working environment that gives me a lot of experience working with good colleagues, and I learned personally a lot. Like, I'm not the person that started like 2 years ago. I've learned a lot from my colleagues, from people in ESR. Also, I work I'm enrolled in university. So I have supervisors in university also that they are so much helpful. So I have three main sources of learning different things. So I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm sure that this is going to be helpful for my future. That's why this kind of career, like opportunity to work as ESR, is considered as something very nice for other companies to see that there is a resume that CV goes for them to apply for a job, and they find it interesting, and they accept this kind of applicants because they are dealing with many challenges and with many partners. So I think this is a very good opportunity, and it was for me personally, it was a very great chance to work on this project.
Okay, here a question for Joey. So you want
I
to
would
answer
like
the
to
first
add
one? Okay.
something about how Infrastar.
So then you can answer the second one also. So would you recommend to maintain the strong links that we have developed together during the 3 years, and how maybe?
Yeah. So first, should I answer this first? So for the first question, how Infrastar works or helps us in our career, I think it's when you do a PhD, for example, here in this ITN, if you work on something for 3 years, hopefully we become specialized or almost experts in what we do. And I think it's an advantage when you enter for example, an industry that you don't only know how to do things, but in fact you know why you do things. So I think it's an advantage that being able to know the background for why do you do things. Being strong, having a strong background would definitely help us advance in our chosen careers. And the second question, I think it's a very interesting because we already started talking. Maybe in the future we should apply for like another ITN project so we can collaborate together again. So definitely, I would see that as an option.
Okay. So maybe here I want to go to the conclusion. So so Shin, if we go back 3 years, 3 years until before the start of the project, would you make the same choice?
Yeah, of course.
I was waiting for hell yeah. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So I don't want explanation. I think we all enjoyed this experience, and yeah. So Bartek, what are the advices you could provide to an ESR who is starting an ITM project now?
I think that in the beginning, as with every game, you need to try to understand the rules of the game to really profit from it. So as we were saying about the changing of the secondments, the dates or the institutions, and all the things that you can influence and you can push your supervisors to really get from them. I think this is very important. I know some other colleagues from other ITN projects, and quite often they are not aware of some possibilities that they have. So it's very important at the very beginning to really take this thick book of Marie Curie project manual, or however it's called properly, and to go through it to understand what kind of game are we playing.
Okay. So and what do you think about Akim's job? in Infrastar. So don't you think that also Akim played a good job in pushing us to collaborate? Or so you need a good project manager also.
A good project manager is very important, but it's another point of being important. The good project manager is important to organize an events like that, to effectively organize the training weeks with interesting lecturers, with interesting lectures. But it's also the ESR that is part of the project, and it's very important for the ESR to understand it.
Okay. So you have...
but of course, Hakim was doing great jobs.
So as an example, in my case, I didn't completely like writing blogs at first. And having Hakim that pushes me to write blogs. It was, at the end, I really enjoyed writing blogs. And now it's like you can go back and see what you did during your years in PhD. And it's pretty interesting. Okay. So a question to supervisors. Okay. So Odile, so did the project under or overachieve your expectations?
Well, thank you for the question before the coffee break. So I will be short. So for me, I was very pleased to successfully submit this proposal, and I'm very happy to have been to see how grown up you are. And it's true, it's important for me that you, like Bartek said, it's your project. So at the end of the day, if you are really, you need to be, I think, and you've become grown up to take your own opportunities. And at the beginning, maybe it's not really clear. Everything must be done for you, and Hakim has been working a lot to provide things. And at the end of the day, I think that now you are ready to go outside and to be yourself manager and capable of setting proposals and working with others. So I'm very happy and very proud of what you have achieved. And I don't know, all the people here, the supervisors, work package leaders, they did a great job. So I'm quite happy. And
you didn't answer my question.
yes,
Under or over?
Usually it's the case. Usually I never answer questions.
Overachieve your expectation. So did the project over or underachieve your expectations?
What was my expectation? Yes, it's overachieved because, for instance, this panel discussion is I didn't thought of having such a discussion at the end. So and at the end we have it. So yes, and I'm happy also that certainly you are going to stay friends for life, and it will continue after. So that's important because it was the idea to have it continue. So at least it will continue with you, and I guess we will still be collaborating, or part of us will still be collaborating for years. So it's very good, and we hope to have news from you.
Also, all of us are interested to work in a European project, maybe soon or later, as supervisors, maybe. We can do in Infrastar project 2, version 2.0. So where is Hakim? He left.
Hakim?
Have a question for Hakim? No? Okay, so I'll ask the question for Odile also. How did you find, what did you find special in this group of ESR? So you supervised a lot of PhD students.
Yes.
So what did you find in this group? So as a team or as individuals?
I think it's like a group of people. You had some very nice moments. Some of them were, sometimes we had to solve small problems, but it went fine. You are coming from, most of you are coming from outside Europe, so that's also very interesting. It's a mixed group, and we learn a lot together. So that's nice. What what else can I say? I think that you are going to be friends for life, I hope. And,
Okay. Okay, so now I finished.
yes.
So
Yes, you are not just number. It's true that you are numbers, but you are not
yeah.
only numbers.
So we were a team, and yeah, we
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah. So congratulations.
Okay. But not without our supervisor also. So it's really, I think for us all, Infrastar was a family also. And yeah, everything was interesting and everyone is happy.
Because it's finished now.
Okay, so thank you for your attention. And